Combat now. They're shooting. Get down. Combat 200 years ago. Why aren't we shooting back? It's their turn, dummy. Now stand here and take it like a man. Ah, the good old days when it took like 60 seconds to reload because you had to like put that powder thing in there, and then you'd literally only have one shot. You better not miss. 14-year-olds now. Haha, you don't have a girlfriend. No, she's from another school. You don't know her. 14-year-olds in the Middle Ages. How's your wife? Dead. You've had one wife. Yes. What about second wife? Dragons in European mythology versus the dragons in Asian mythology. Yeah, I feel like they had more character development over there. John Lennon, after managing to become an icon for equality and peace, whilst abusing his wife and kids. Every time I see these memes, I just think of this article. Britain watching as the funny lines they drew 100 years ago turn into war zones once again. Jolly good show. British soldiers on their way to die in battle so their country can keep selling opium to Chinese peasants. They was businessmen doing business. This is literally the first time I've ever noticed a map in the corner of this GIF. History teacher, you can't summarize the entirety of the Cold War using a dog video. Oh, this is looking, there you go. That's perfect. Thank you, doggos. Never mind. We chill? We chill. Yeah. My mom hanging out with her Dutch friend trying to stop me from asking if her ancestors ate the prime minister. I'm literally gonna go to the Netherlands one day and just assume that everyone there is cannibals. Why do I feel like they'd tell me they were just doing a little bit of trolling? We have scientists handing the American public a piece of paper. Takes a look at it. We're genuinely concerned that detonating this weapon has a tiny itty-bitty chance of igniting the atmosphere, but we're gonna go ahead and do it anyways. 50 years later, we're like, wait, whoa. That Manhattan Project where they were trying to build nukes for the first time must have been wild. Man, warfare sure is terrible. I wish there was some way we could make it less brutal. Richard J. Gatlin. I have an idea. The theory is that this man created this weapon because it would cause such death and destruction that no one would ever want to go to war again. And it's just kind of funny how we were talking about nukes literally in the previous meme. Gerald Ford signs the Metric Conversion Act of 1975 into law. What the frick is a kilometer? We actually did this. How many of you had no idea this was actually a historical gift the entire time? The Western Allies did little to win WW2. It was all the USSR. Cracking the Enigma, warning the Soviets about Kursk, opening up 3 different fronts in 2 years, the USSR invading Poland and massacring its people, fighting on 2 fronts for the entirety of the war, a massive strategic bombing campaign that crippled Germany, and finally shipping over 500 billion military equipment, vehicles, industrial supplies, and food to the USSR. I don't think the two sides in this debate are ever gonna stop. When you happen to be history's largest empire, but none of your European peers have deemed you enough of a threat to form coalitions against you, like you have done against countless others. Who would have thought? Wait, that is kind of crazy. I'm sure there's probably a couple of like small examples, but why wasn't there a massive coalition to stop them at any point? I guess if you're just always a part of other coalitions, no one thinks to form a coalition against you. No, Germany, Panzer IV, USSR T-34, Tiger 1, T-34, Panther, T-34, Tiger 2, IS-2. That looks like an upscale version of T-34. So, the Soviet Union and their tanks be like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Even though it would kind of break often, wouldn't it? The Paraguayan War oofed so many men that adult women outnumbered men 4 times. And it was so bad that the church had to allow this. Do I want to know what this is? I don't think I want to know what this is. Oh, it's just polygamy. I got worried. You never know. Brazil, Argentina, and Uruguay be like, so I built 2 walls and defeated hundreds of thousands of Gauls single-handedly. Cool. I'll write it down. No one will fact check this, Caesar. So glad Caesar never lied. POV, your country just democratically elected a president with slightly leftist ideas. All right, American Eagle coming on in. Time to grant you guys some freedom by putting this dictator in charge. Germans in 1921 on a trip to buy a single loaf of bread with cash. Why do I feel like we're gonna have a similar fate too? Average PhD virgin versus oversimplified enjoyer. Russia against the Mongolians versus Russia against France and Germany. Or for that matter, almost anybody in Europe. I think we just figured out Russia's kryptonite. Not only the Mongolians, but the Japanese. They got embarrassed 100 years ago from that. Afghanistan is the graveyard of empires. We conquered Afghanistan for 3 centuries, says ancient Greece. Okay, well, maybe they evolved after Greece. I assume all you youngsters talking about blazing 420 are of course referring to the blazing career of this man, who in 420 BC was elected strategos, an incredible height of power for one so young. I applaud your interest in the great figures of our ancient past. People love this story so much they're putting it on shirts. Letting Japan fight America alone so they don't add to your existing problems. Versus declaring war on America right after Pearl Harbor for the sake of staying true to an alliance you gain nothing from. I need to be careful with what I say here, but, okay, no, Germany. Comes contestant of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, proceeds to advance to the $1 million question, uses the call a friend to talk with his dad, tells him your son's gonna win the $1 million, becoming the first millionaire in the show, leaves with the money. Will there ever be a more epic moment like this?
Hi, Dad. Hi. I don't really need your help. I just wanted to let you know that I'm gonna win the $1 million.
Like, they should just stop the show from there on out. The ultimate Sigma male. Building their capital city in the swamp, both the Germans and the Aztecs. Hold up, but how do the swamp Germans fit into all this? France, the Roman Empire, England, Spain, Russia, Aztecs, USA, and Venetians. Oh, and don't forget about Germany. Build your capital on a swamp. Something about like the hot, wet areas. We were just like, yeah, let's put all our people right here. Mussolini, I need a political headquarters for my fascist party. Something that can inspire fear and intimidation in my citizens whilst also making me look like a badass. Architects, say no more, fam. Something tells me this would make a great entrance to an Italian restaurant. India to its international community after it's built its first nuclear bomb. You said, are we developing such a weapon? No, we are not. Okay, that seems trustworthy.
Because we've already developed it.
Oh, okay, yes. Well, they were telling the truth. They weren't building it, they've built it. Belgium minding their own business, all the while the Germans about to annex them just to get to France. They don't call you the speed bump of Europe for nothing. People today praising Greece for saving Western civilization from the evil Persian Empire just because they saw the movie 300. The slave-owning Greek pedos who fought against the tolerant and progressive Persians only to... Okay. Been a while since I've seen this talked about. Unhated historical characters annual meeting. Oh wait, no one's here. I feel like they should say like older than 100 years ago. Stanislav Petrov, who saved the world, you can't dislike him. Then there's the greats like Steve Irwin and Bob Ross. Can't dislike these guys. Peter, no! Peter Griffin. You can't be for the no American side. Oh, I'm so disappointed. I don't think I can watch Family Guy anymore after this. I would never be a simp. Ew. 2 seconds later, at your service, my queen. Say it with me, boys. Bronze Age waifus. They found this lady 3,000 years ago, and she apparently looked something like this. I'm gonna need to see a VTuber replicate this look stat. Denmark, Norway, Belgium, and the Netherlands, all of which were given guarantees that their neutrality would be respected. Germany pulling a pro-gamer move by ignoring their own treaties. I'm gonna do something called a pro-gamer move. Alright, get lost, all of you. You're fired. Go on, scram. EU getting rid of all the Imperial Roman measurements, like spoons, pints, miles, acres, except for nautical miles and knots. You stay. Wait, did anyone else notice the Pokemon people right here? The lords, when they see a bunch of farmers bringing pitchforks and torches in the middle of the night. I'm sorry, is this some sort of peasant joke that I'm too rich to understand? Oh, don't worry, sir. You're very soon about to find out. The British, when their cars start speaking German, versus the British, when their cars start speaking Irish. Yeah, you gotta watch those potato people. Arab soldier, sir, we left a little mountain range unconquered to the north. Arab general, so what? That's populated by like 200 people at most. What's the worst that could happen? Is it appropriate to make a Spanish Inquisition joke right here? Bolsheviks pulls up to a random elderly peasant. Want some beets? Yes, Hobson. You're going to negotiate peace with the Germans. Wait, what? They just got a random dude on the street? I guess in 1917, when they were trying to negotiate peace during the First World War with the Germans, they wanted to hammer home that communism was all about the good of the common people. So they brought a soldier, a sailor, and an urban worker, but they forgot a peasant. So when they got there last second, they just had to like roam the streets and like, hey, you come with us. Trade offer, I receive nothing. Haha, don't worry about it. You receive a big wooden horse? Wow, and this big wooden horse has a lot of people inside it too for fun activities later on. It's a win-win for you. How people think the American Revolution was George Washington just taking out all these zombies. How it really was. Get back here, you little Yeah, we couldn't fight them one-on-one. We had to do the Vietnamese strats back then. Or I guess Vietnam did our strats, I don't know. Historian kids, when the exam is all about summarizing the Mesopotamian civilization instead of naming every tank and plane in WW 1 and 2. What is this? This isn't history. Seriously, this impacts me too. If I make a video where the subject's about like ancient civilizations, sometimes even like the medieval times, it just will not do as good as if I talk about World War II. I'm sorry for what my ancestors did, says Germany crying. No, we didn't commit any war crimes, says Japan. Hee. My dad is a war criminal, says Serbian Doge. It didn't happen. They deserve that, says okay. Finally, the USA, it's not a war crime if we won. Oh, I guess they have a point. Becomes the first and only confirmed person in history to get hit by a frickin' meteorite. Survives with just a bruise. Fights her landlord for ownership of the meteorite. Greedy bastard thinks it belongs to him because it landed on his property. Wins the custody battle. Donates the meteorite to the Alabama Museum of Natural History without receiving any payment at all. Whoa! And she got this cool scar from it too. And I would use this to impress all the ladies too. I'd be like, yeah, you see that? Yeah, I got in a fight with a rock from space. And if you think I look bad, you should see the other guy. I made it burst into like just 1,000 pieces. How people imagined the Crusades. Meanwhile, Richard the Lionheart and Saladin, after making a truce, you are the greatest and most powerful leader in the Islamic world. There is no more honorable Christian lord than you, Richard. When you put it like that, were they written as like roommates in the history book? 15,000 round lifespan, stopped by one single finger. What is this? Oh no. Impressive. You made me use 0.003% of my power. What the hell is that? I've never seen that before in my life. And these things were old too. I just wouldn't want to carry this thing for like more than a mile, but it was used in the Russo-Japanese War and the First and Second World Wars. Oh crap, just a lot of things because it was around for big events. During WW2, 3 Italian POWs held at British camp in Africa decided to escape just to climb Mount Kenya, the second highest mountain in Africa, because they were bored. After completing their goal, they simply returned to the British camp and handed themselves over. The 3 Italians, I see no god up here other than me. Was that why Italy wasn't that effective during WW2? Those poor soldiers just wanted to climb mountains and have fun. What a cute baby. I hope he doesn't end up leading a nation that causes various war crimes across Asia. Is that Hirohito? French people about almost everything versus French people talking about laws on the bread in 1993. Well, I mean, yeah, we all know that the French live in pain. Yeah. It's called baguette land for a reason. I guess that law was made in 93 just to make sure the quality of bread in the country was held to a high standard, and that's beautiful. British government outlaws virtually all guns for civilians. Philip Ludi inventing scrap metal submachine guns in his garage and publishing a book on how anyone can do it out of... Wow. And I took that personally. This is sounding just like Fallout. You've scrolled down so much, you've reached the Paleozoic period. Finally, some history I really care about. Name a more iconic trio than the Dream Team. I'll be waiting forever since it's impossible. I know you can't. Honestly, nobody on the planet is more recognizable than these 3. I don't know what to say. Oh, okay. I see they might have found a better choice. These 3 were pretty popular, I will say that. Beautiful historical structures built around 500 AD. 500, 200 AD, 600 BC, the Great Lighthouse. We know kind of a general time period for that. A lot of amazing things, don't get me wrong, but you cannot underestimate the Great Pyramids of Giza, built like 5,000 years ago, and that thing is still around too. The entire world being held by some clock that can't count to 2000. That was a weird time period. Everyone just thought the universe was going to end because of Y2K. Well, not the universe, but society was going to break down because clocks, there was a bug, it was going to go to 2000, I don't know. Our society has just been obsessed with the apocalypse for so long. I remember being a little kid and hearing people like, is everything okay? Like older adults. It was genuinely freaked out. Peter Weisel, when his ship runs out of ammo and the ship he's been shooting at for the past 14 hours denies his request to give him some of theirs. Wait, what? But we were just having fun. I guess in 1917, a Norwegian naval officer named Peter Wessel, I don't know, was fighting a British ship until he ran out of ammo, and he actually did ask them. But the results were they both fell back. At least he didn't get oofed. And big thanks to I Stole Drew's Pet Dog, I Love Marks, Drew's Arab Sugar Daddy, LuxembourgLover, King Corey, Drew's Argentinian Grandpa, Canadian Union, Dalton D, BringBackPolandball, Barnsky W, AryanAfterHours, Fat Norwal, Alfonso M6, Ivan Lima, Majestic Unicorn, Michael, Max Cooper, McBlorf, Nemo Shicky, Mind Brothers 999, Robert Philip R. and Ride the Pie.